In this video, we're taking this boring, very poorly designed lead magnet flow that is simply triggered by a form, and we're turning it into a fully fledged lead automation system with Airtable interfaces that work as an app where you can simply work through to come up with ideas for creating a lead magnet. It will write the entire lead magnet for you, and then it will create website and ad copy for that exact lead magnet as well. It gives you an easy way to use any type of AI model for your website copywriting and your ad copywriting. And we're doing this with 3 detailed n8n automation workflows for creating the ideas, writing the entire lead magnet, and then coming up with the lead magnet marketing as well. This is episode number 6 of the lead magnet AI automation system, where we're diving deep into how to build n8n and Airtable AI systems. So we don't really talk about automations. Clients don't want automations. Your team won't adopt automations. We talk about systems. So I'd encourage you to watch from episode number 1 right through to episode number 9 so you can really level up and start building AI systems instead of just automations. And of course, the n8n templates in this workflow that we're building, they will be available for you for free. So just come into our community and go to the resources page, and then you can come in and find the lead magnet automation system. So there's a whole bunch of others here for you as well, but these are available for you for free to download and get started using today. And there'll be a link in the description for how you can get access. Now, if you don't know me yet, my name is Mitch Asa. I run MakeBigMoves.ai, an agency where we work with businesses doing anywhere from $50,000 a month up to more than $500,000 a month. Plus, I have built and sold a number of these templates. In fact, more than 700 people have purchased the different templates and AI automation systems that we have. And the main premise that we have with everything that we do is that your clients want, or you as a business owner, you want a system. You don't want an AI automation. AI automations are simply just these really annoying things in the background that help us transfer data from one place to another. Automations don't solve problems, but AI automation systems or AI agent systems do. So it's exactly what I'm doing in this workflow. I'm taking a very boring automation that was created poorly and turn it into a system that makes it easy to use. It makes it easy to train clients to use. It makes it easy to train team members to use. And you can actually help step them through each of the processes by adding some instructions into those interfaces as well. Now in this video, I'm literally starting from scratch. What I just showed you now is the end result. I'm starting from scratch, and we're going to work through a couple of hours together, and you're going to see me transform that boring automation into a fully fledged system. Literally step by step, how we're structuring the database, how we're making the edits inside of Airtable, how we're building the interfaces, how we're building the n8n automations and structuring all that together. We're doing all of this inside of this video. So it's going to be a long video, and make sure you lock in. You probably want to save this video, come back to it multiple times and watch it over a few different periods, and you can keep up and you can learn how we're building these systems for clients. We take the same premise for basically all of our clients. Now, of course, if you don't want to build alongside me, if you don't want to spend a few hours building everything that I do, we do have these templates available, and you can literally just download them, take 10 minutes to install them yourself, and you can be up and running and start making your own edits to these templates based on your business or what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so let's dive into this lead magnet automation today. And the number one thing that I want you to remember is that clients don't want automations. They want real systems that are easy to use, that are scalable, that they can train team members on easily, that nobody gets confused over. So while a lot of these other creators are creating sometimes, somewhat thoughtful automations, a lot of them are really just not useful for clients in the real world. If you were to give them these confusing automations with really poorly designed tables like this, nobody's going to use them long term, at least, which means you're not going to get repeat business. You're not going to get a higher lifetime value of clients. And it's just basically a waste of time for absolutely everybody. So if we're going to build these systems, then let's make sure we build something solid. So we're taking the poorly designed lead magnet automation from another creator, and we're turning it into a fully fledged lead magnet system that not only creates the idea and the outline for the lead magnet, but we're actually going to combine another automation that I found inside of the n8n library by this guy, Max Mitchum, and we're going to combine that into the system as well. So we'll use maybe like 70% of what's included in here, and then we'll build it into the actual system. So this is a way that you can quickly improve these poorly designed systems or the poorly designed automations, build them into something that's actually useful. And this is actually a secret that all of the best people use, which is you can piece together different parts of what creators and other automation people are actually doing and put the pieces together to create something really great. It's essentially how every single business works. They go and find what one company is not doing very well, and then they do it better. They find like a little niche part of that business and they do it way better. That's the secret to business. So if they're doing it on such a massive scale all around the world, then why shouldn't we do that inside of automation as well? So we're piecing together a couple of different things from different creators out there and building a fully fledged system. This would be something that I would be happy to sell to a client for thousands of dollars. So we're going to take this poorly designed table here and we're going to turn it into a system. Number one is we start with all of our typical things that we would do. So if you haven't been watching the other videos, then you'll probably want to go back and look at some of the others. We use a lot of the same type of techniques in all of it. Predominantly comes back to structuring your database. So we're taking a single table and we're building out 1, 2, 3, 4 tables within this system. And we'll have these tables linked together in linked records or a relational database so that we have the right fields in the right places and so that you're only adding the data into the fields one time only and it can be referenced throughout the entire database. So I've already built this out. I have been building the databases in the other videos from scratch. So if you want to get more of an insight into how to build databases from scratch, go and watch some of the most recent videos on this. But I've already done some of this here. I've probably got it like 60% of the way just to save a little bit of time for this video because we're essentially just building a few fields here and there. I will explain it, but we'll go deeper into it as we're building and going through each of these tables. But essentially, we've got a brand assets table, which is everything to do with the brand goes into there. From there, we're going to build an automation that researches and creates a target audience persona and brainstorms and generates lead magnet ideas. We'll then drop all of those lead magnet ideas into the next table and then allow the user to sort through those ideas from top to bottom and to say if it's relevant or not. If it's not relevant, we'll remove it from the table. If it is relevant, then we can continue on with workflow 2. So workflow 2 creates a single focus on the problem. It creates website copy for the lead magnet as well, and it creates ad copy. Now we might change these because potentially the website and ad copy come later. I'm not sure. Maybe then, because we kind of need to come up with the name. So maybe we need to generate the name in the first one as well. So we'll put it up here, naming ideas as well. And then, then we can generate the website copy and ad copy. And then workflow 3, we will write the entire lead magnet as well. So these workflows 2 and 3 will get generated into the AI output field. The reason why we do that is because if you generate it multiple times, it will all sit under the original lead magnet record. So you can see which records are connected to what ideas. You will understand that more as we're building it out. And then finally, we always add in an AI models table. Now, this AI models section may not get used in every workflow because I think in this entire lead magnet flow, we might have to hard code the models in. But essentially, we add these AI model databases into all of our systems so that if a new AI model comes out, then the clients don't have to go into the automation in order to change the AI model that they want to use. They can simply just add it in the AI model via a form, and then we link in with a variable the AI model that we want to use. And we can do that using Open Router, so we get access to every single AI model that is out there. And I'm going to explain more on that as we build as well. So this is the plan for today. I would expect this to take a couple of hours as well, so make sure you lock in. And we're going to build this really great system. So of course you can follow along and you can build your own system from scratch if you want. But if you want this template yourself, so that all you have to do is download the template, download the automations, install them into your own account. It'd probably take you 15, 20 minutes to set up maximum. Then you can do that, or you can spend, 3 or 4 or 5 hours building alongside me, but trying to understand it all, it's probably going to take you 10 to 20 hours to do. So the choice is yours. Take that 10 to 20 hours, learn how all of this is done, or go ahead and purchase that template. I'll leave that up to you. But regardless, I'm going to show you absolutely everything. I'm going to show you how I think about it. I'm going to show you the resources that I use in order to help build this super fast. And I'm not a coder. I'm not even a developer. I have a team that works on all of our client accounts. I just know enough in order to get a project like this 80% away, which is what we're going to do. And then my team will finish off and do a lot of the other stuff. So if you're interested in that, then let's dive in now. So let's just start with a quick overview of the database. So we've taken, this basic table. I don't even know why they're really using a table like it. It's so basic. And we'll turn it into a bit more of a structured database. So we have our brand assets, and our brand assets is we're adding in the brand voice guidelines, excluded words, writing grade level, the niche, our audience avatar, our offer details. So like, what do we normally sell? And then we link it to our lead magnet ideas. I'll tell you why in just a second. And then we have an AI status, an AI model, and a generate ideas. So this button will execute the n8n workflow for generating all the ideas. So that's like first and foremost what we do. Then we have this formula here, which combines all of the most important things into this single formula so that we only have to send one field when we're giving n8n the brand context. Now, why all of this is important is because every single time we prompt the AI, especially when it comes to writing a lead magnet or writing website copy or ad copy, we want to make sure that it's following our brand voice guidelines. If you don't do that, then you're going to get your general chat GPT type of answers and responses. And it's very obvious to 90% of people out there who have any idea of AI that it was AI generated. And you don't want that to be the case. Like, yeah, sure, people probably know that you're using AI behind the scenes in most niches, but you still want to make sure that it sounds like you. You don't want to sound like a carbon copy of every single other person out there who is just being super lazy and not using these types of essential formulas and frameworks when generating their ideas or generating their copy with AI. So that's brand assets table number one. Next, we then have our lead magnet ideas. So we link in our brand assets via a linked record so that we can choose what brand assets we want to use in this workflow. So let me just unhide a few of these fields here. So just drag this down here like this. Now, when I select this brand asset, big moves, then you'll see that these fields just got populated automatically. So these are what we call a lookup field. If we have a look at that, it's called a lookup field. And it's essentially looking up another table called brand asset and the field of brand assets for automation. So it's pulling that in, which means I can't edit it. It's just a read only. And we do this because when we click a button over here to generate our assets inside of n8n, then we don't want to be adding our brand asset, brand voice guidelines here, and then adding it in here again, because then imagine if you had 100 tables and you had to do that every time, and then you decided to make an update to your brand voice guidelines. That means you'd have to go into 100 tables and re-update the brand voice guidelines. Whereas if we do it here once, so that if I change the brand voice guidelines here anytime at all, it will automatically update in here as well, because this is read only. This is just referencing what's in that tab. So that's why we build it this way. Then we've got our audience challenges and our audience problems. So what will happen is we'll click a button back here. It'll go through n8n and it will start to generate more records of all of the ideas. So like, have idea number one, and it'll drop that in. We'll link in the Big Moves brand as well. Then it'll generate the next idea and it'll link in Big Moves brand with like another lead magnet 2, lead magnet 3, lead magnet 4. So as these generate, all of this gets pre-populated so that we're ready to then maybe make a few edits and then generate the rest of the assets for workflow 2 and 3. So workflow 2 and 3 are generated from this tab. We'll also need a status. I'm just realizing this now as well. We'll need a status for the idea. So I'm just going to add this in now as we're talking. So we'll go idea status, and to do will be the first one. To create will be the second one. Let's go approved and then not approved. To do will be our default option. So when a new record is dropped in here, it'll automatically get a to-do on here, and then we'll be able to sort it in an interface so that any of the to-dos we need to come in here and we need to change these, whether we're going to create it and then from creation to approved or not approved. So all of that will make sense as we start building out that workflow. Once we have those ideas, so we'll have an audience challenge and an audience problem, we can then begin to generate workflow 2. So workflow 2 is going to generate the actual lead magnet website copy. The name actually needs to come in here as well. So I think we already have that, which is our lead magnet name. So we might generate like 5 to 10 different names in here, and then you choose one. Generate assets in workflow 2, and then those assets will come into this table here. So the reason why we send it into here is because it will actually link to this lead magnet tab here. And when we begin building out the interfaces, it'll make a whole lot more sense why. Because when we're using interfaces, we'll be able to create relational records between both tables. So this will create a really seamless experience inside of the app component. So all of this is going to make sense soon. I'm actually about to build the interfaces first, and then we'll move on to everything else. Then finally, we have our AI models. So our AI models are essentially linked into the tables where there's going to be a button that generates the AI components so that we can choose any type of model for each of the workflows. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work. Like I said, we may hard code in some models at certain times, but that's basically how these databases are built. The reason why we build this is because now we're going to build out our interfaces. So we'll just call this the interface, that's fine, and we can come back. Most of the time now, we're just using list interfaces. So we're going to just begin with our brand assets. So that's the first one. Brand assets, we basically just need a couple of fields in here. Let's just go brand assets, we'll go writing grade level, and we'll go the niche. Actually, I don't even know if we should have writing grade level here. We'll just add those two for now. And then if we click on that, then ask us, do you want us to open the record details? And we'll say yes. And now we can just build this out to be a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go full screen, and we will click on this section here so we can see where it says add group. We want to make some edits to that full group. So let's just see if we can grab that. It's a little bit hard to get sometimes. Here we go. So I like to show the background color. I like to show the title and then put these on top. So put the labels on top there. So we'll just call this brand details. So the niche, that can be editable. So anytime the user can come in and change that niche. This is just the formula field, which we don't need. We're just sending that into the AI component. So we'll add in these to make these editable. Our writing grade can be editable, and you can simply just grab it and drag it around in order to structure out this interface. So that's what I like about Airtable. They make it super quick to build things. Now that it means you are super limited with what you can do, which is unfortunate, but it is very quick for building, which is pretty cool. So this is going to be brand details up the top, and then we need the section for our AI component at the bottom. So we'll just go AI trigger. For now, we can change that later. We're going to drop the ideas down into the AI component as well, but we can here add the AI status, we can add the AI model, and we can add the button. So let's just structure this a little bit. On top, AI trigger, we can change how all of these look. We can go link and unlink records. So now we've completed all of this stuff up the top here. We've added all of this information. The AI is ready to trigger. So if I just quickly hit publish, let's say you're in this interface and you've completed all of the brand details up the top like I have. And like I said, we can now select any AI model that we want. So I can open this up and I can choose from our list of AI models to run and generate ideas. So we'll send all of the information up the top here into n8n. We'll ask it to generate some ideas based on our offer, based on our audience. We'll make sure those ideas don't include any of these excluded phrases. It'll write at a 6th grade level, and it will use this brand voice in the output that it provides us. So that's a super simple dashboard for creating brand assets. The only other thing that I would add is, let's say you're building this out for dozens of brands, or you maybe have a few brands yourself. We can add a little button up the top and go open record creation form, and I'll say add brand. We want to link this to our brand assets, and then we'll go add, and then we'll go edit form, and we'll go add brand, add new brand. And we can simply do everything that we just had in the previous one. We can have a form laid out where the user goes ahead and adds all of those things into here, which will create a new record underneath. So it might be, big moves number 2 gets generated down here, and then you'll have access to both of those records from that dashboard here. So if I go add brand, you can now see that I could go and fill out all of these, hit create, and then a new record would drop in underneath. So that's like a super simple way to get a system up and running very quickly. It only took me 5-10 minutes in order to just get this part ready. And it might take me a maximum of another 30 to 40 minutes to complete the entire system. And it blows my mind that people are not spending that extra hour or less in order to create a proper system for clients. Like, I just don't understand. And I feel so sorry for all of the clients out there that are getting just these automations handed to them and then they've got to figure out everything else themselves. So let's keep going with this. Let's build out the rest of this interface and then let's start to automate those workflows. And you'll be able to see these interfaces in action as well. So let's keep going. Okay, so I'm just going to move through the other interfaces a little faster. Let's just pull them all in first and foremost. So we need our lead magnet IDs, we need our AI output, and we need our AI model. So I'm just going to start with the AI models first. It's a little bit easier. So again, if we want to add a new AI model, then we can simply just create a button with a form. So we'll go open record creation form. We'll link it to the AI models, edit form. And then now all the client needs to do is just add in the name. That open router code actually can be deleted. We don't need that. And we don't need it to be linked to any of these. So they just add in the actual code. They choose the developer account, which is 90% of the time going to be open router. They can add the open router URL and max tokens and temperature. However, we don't use that as much anymore. A lot of the newer models are actually not using the max tokens and temperature. However, we can make that super simple. We'll create a new record creation tab for this as well. So that's just a super simple way to be using this one here. So I think that one's good for now. We could just quickly format this out. We don't need this as it's just a repeat. And then this is basically all we need. So we just need to know that the name is there. We can choose what developer account, and maybe you just want to use OpenAI. So you can have an OpenAI developer account or Claude or Anthropic, or you could have Perplexity or Gemini. But most people are using some sort of tool that unifies all the AI models under one, like we're using OpenRouter. So that one's good. Now let's build out the lead magnet IDs. Let's go to AI output first. So this one's a little bit easier as well. Lead magnet IDs is the harder one, so I'm leaving that to last. So AI outputs, first and foremost, you can see on the dashboard here, we've got our output type. I'm going to group them by that output type first and foremost. Just make it a little bit easier to see. So we'll have lead magnet generations and we'll have marketing generations. The next one is we just need maybe the name. What do we need? Maybe just like the output ID. Yeah, I think we just need those things. So let's just space these out a little bit. And then we'll open up our record details form and we'll build this one out to be a little bit nicer as well. So let's just do our normal things that we do here. Output ID, we don't want that to change. We don't want our type to change. So we're going to leave those as view only. But the AI output, we can make that editable because you probably want to do some editing of your output itself. Created, we can leave that in there and we can leave in here what lead magnet it has come from. So this is what I mean, going back to our data, where I was talking about these relational tables where they're linked into another record like this. This is the reason, is because we can now connect everything together inside of our interfaces. So you know down here, okay, this output is connected directly to this lead magnet here. So now we need to just create this lead magnet view. What do we need in this one? We need our lead magnet ID. That one can stay. We need our status. Yes. I like to have the status for these at the very start. I just feel like it's a little bit cleaner when it's at the very start. We need our brand. Yes, I'm probably going to bring that in front as well. I also feel like that's a little bit cleaner when it's like status for the brand and the name of the system. We don't need this next field here. What else do we need? No, all of these can get created or sorted inside of the record creation. So let's create that now. So we click on that, we go allow, and then we begin to build this layout. So what's going to happen is we're going to trigger from brand assets and we're going to ask the AI to generate a whole bunch of ideas. It's going to drop in all of these ideas as an individual record and create a to-do. Again, we're just going to add our to-do here. We're going to change the style of our brand assets up the top here. And then we don't need this field. We don't need our niche. We don't need these. These are just pulling in from the brand assets field. But we do need access into these fields here. So we're going to make these ones editable and we'll just remove these AI components from now. So what will happen is it'll generate a lead magnet name, audience challenges and desires, audience problem. I actually would want a a host of names. So like when I build this, it'll probably be like, generate me 10 ideas for the names, but then choose the best one for this field here. So I'm just going to go create field, and we'll go long text, and we'll go list lead mag. So it'll be a list of lead magnet names. We'll make that editable as well. So AI will generate all of these things, and then it's up to us to come through, make these edits, and sort these out. Next, we'll then go workflow 2, generate AI assets, marketing assets. And then we'll have, after that, workflow 3, generate lead magnet. And then these will both be linked to the AI output. So let's see if we can filter this section here. I don't know if it's going to be possible. So AI output, let's just structure this a little bit nicer. So we basically only want to see the lead status ones in here. So link unlink records, click into record details, show as view field. We may be able to structure it from the database here. So let's come into here, and then if we go to AI output and then edit field, limit to a view. Yes. So first and foremost, we need to come back into here. Then we will go duplicate view, and this will be the lead magnet view. And we can go filter by the type is lead magnet. And now it will only show the lead magnet view. Then if we duplicate that, and we'll call this one the marketing view, and we can change that filter to the marketing filter. Then if we come back into here, we can come into this AI output section here, and we'll go edit field, and then we can limit the record selection to a view. So this view, let's make this AI output. Let's go AI output lead magnet. So AI output lead magnet view, and we'll go save. And then we just need another one in here just like that. So we'll go insert right, link to another record, AI output, and then we'll say AI output marketing view, limit to a view, and then we'll go marketing, hit OK. So now if we come back into our interface and we open this back up again, we can have our 2 different ones. So this is our lead magnet view, which is correct. And then this one up the top here, that should be in our top one up here. Okay, I don't know what I've just done here, but let's just see if we can fix this up. AI output marketing view in this one. Cool. So we'll have both of those. Let's just have a quick look at this AI output. There should be some in the marketing that's not linked. So we can then go to all of them, and let's just pull these down. We'll just link these in now so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so we just had to fix these up, get the naming correct. So we've got these ones in our lead magnet view. So if we come back into our interface here now, then we can open this up and we can see that these are generated in this view. So how do they get generated? They get generated by the AI component, which means we need to add in the AI model, the AI status, and we need to add in the button for executing that workflow. So lead magnet assets is the first button. So let's add that in here like this, put the status at the end. We'll change this to make it easier to understand. And then we'll go down to here, do the same here. So we now have these workflows. So we need to change this workflow 3, generate lead magnet. So you can see now it's starting to come together. Let's just hit publish so we can see how this looks. Let's make it a full screen. We definitely need full screen for this. So I'm just going to go hit this button here to show as a full screen, and then we'll hit publish. So we have our main lead magnet idea interface. We click into it and determine whether we're going to create. If we're going to create it, then we use all of this information up here. Then we can generate our AI marketing asset. So I'll add some description in here as to what it actually creates. We come in, we choose our AI model from this list, and then we hit generate. The status will change to say the AI is writing, and then all of the new generations that come in will get dropped into here as well. We then create all of those things inside of our marketing view. And what we actually need to have, or do we need to have? We might need to have like the approved marketing assets in a few fields in here. We'll see how we go. And then it will generate the lead magnets down the bottom here. So let's just see if we can then generate so that the most recent records come to the top. And we should be able to do that by coming back into our data. And then we go into our AI output, lead magnet view. And then we can sort this by the created date with the latest at the top. So if we do that for marketing as well, and then we'll go sort by created with the latest at the top. So anytime a new record drops in now, you can see that'll be added to the top, which means that should reflect inside of the interface as well, that the most recent generations will come to the top of the interface. So it's just a little hack in terms of creating a much nicer system to work with. So we have those things. Next, we just basically need to start building out these workflows. And then as we are building, then typically more fields will become apparent that we need to add them in, and we simply add them in. Now, there's one extra thing that I wanted to do was just sort these a little bit. So I'm just going to click on that and allow this to pop up as well. So we can click through to the output directly from this interface here as well. And we might just structure these to be a little bit nicer. The output ID is fine, but we don't want that in there. The output type is probably the other thing we would want in there like that. But maybe create a date as well. That could be valuable. So we'll add those ones in here. So we'll just change these as well. Let's also then update the visible fields. So we'll go hide, we'll go output type, and we'll go created. Now we're just structuring this a little bit nicer so we can see what's happening. And it's important to have the created date and time here so you know which ones are the most recent ones when you're using the interface. So if I hit publish now, we're going through editing, we generate these marketing views, we click in, we can see this in here, which we created before in the AI output table. And we can see now how it's all beginning to look like an actual system. So again, this is the secret. It hasn't taken me very long to build this interface, but it's so much more valuable. Like even just building an interface on top, you can probably charge double the amount of what you would charge if you just give them an automation, and it literally takes you less than an hour. So again, like it blows my mind that people are not doing this. It's such short-sighted. It puts people off if they don't have good systems, and they're never going to come back to you. So build properly and you'll get rewarded for that. I promise you that. So let's keep moving along now. It's time to dive into these automations. Let's go. Okay, so let's start with the very first automation. This one's going to be quite an easy one to build out. We're going to generate the ideas from our brand assets tab. So we come into n8n, we'll go create a new workflow, and we're going to trigger that via a webhook. So when I created the dashboard here, if I hover over this, you can see the bottom left down the bottom, there is a webhook there. Well, let's just open this up and make it a little bit easier to see. So we have a formula in here with a webhook placeholder. So that's how we're going to start. We'll go webhook. We'll copy that webhook and we'll change this to respond using a webhook respond node. We'll add in this respond node as well. So respond to webhook, and I'm going to go with text, and I have a bit of code saved here with close window. And what will happen is it will respond to that webhook and immediately close the window for us. So all I need to do now is add in the webhook in this section here. And then I also need to add in the base ID and table ID. So I just get those from the URL. So the base ID begins with APP, and then the table ID begins with TBL. So I need to go into the actual table to get this one. So I'll just save that for a second, and we'll get this table ID from in here. And since we're here, we'll just update this workflow from here. So this one is TBL, and then we'll hit save. Great. So now let's just come back into our interface. And if we trigger this via the interface, it should run through and catch that webhook. So generate IDs, and then it should automatically close, which it has then captured that webhook. So next we need to get all of that information from Airtable. So we're simply going to get an Airtable node, and we're going to go get a record, and then we'll just map in our base ID and table ID. So this is why we use the base ID and table ID inside of the formula, is because it makes building this workflow so much faster. You also see how it makes it so much faster in future workflows as well, in the next couple that we build. So now if I just hit execute step, then we can see it's pulled in all of that information from the Airtable base that we can now use inside of this automation itself. So The next one that I do is, remember back in our interface here, we have this AI status. So the reason we do that is to give the user a little bit of knowledge as to what's actually happening in the background. So in order to update that, so it knows that the automation is running and the AI is about to start, then we actually need an update record node. And then we simply just map in the same variables that we had before, the base ID, table ID. And then via the ID, we map in the record ID, and then we can remove everything except for the AI status. So we'll just remove all of these, and then the AI status will change to AI writing. So now if I hit execute on that, we can see it has changed the status here. So we know that something is happening. Then once we have all of this, I'm just going to pin all of this data so that we can use it in future. Now we want to use the OpenAI node in order to generate some ideas. So we're going to go message a model. However, we're not going to use OpenAI. We're actually going to use OpenRouter. So I've created this so many times before, but to use OpenRouter, all you need to do is change the base URL. And if you simply go to OpenRouter, and then we just choose any AI model. So let's just choose the first one at the top here, Minimax M2. If you scroll down the bottom, you can find the base URL here. So we've simply just got that base URL and we've added it into the OpenAI node down here in the OpenAI base URL. And we've added in the API key from OpenRouter. And that means we can now use any of the models inside of OpenRouter. So rather than having to choose from a list of models, we can map that in via the OpenRouter component. Now, as I'm saying this, I realized that we didn't actually bring in a very important part of this AI models is we need to create a lookup field and we need to add in this plain text into the actual base itself. So the reason why is because if I search for AI model here, you can see that the only thing it's giving me is a record ID. It's not giving me the actual name of the AI model. So we need to execute on this again. So we'll just go execute workflow and we'll trigger this again. If I look for AI model now, we can see we have our plain text option. So we can simply drag that across and now it'll reference Anthropic Claude Opus 4 because that's what we've selected. So here we now need to generate the ideas. So before we generate the ideas, then we may actually need to generate the challenges and desires and the actual problem. So let's think about this for a moment. The challenges and desires are super important. The problem is probably where we'll add in later at a later stage once we focus on a single problem. First and foremost, we're going to create the challenges and desires. Then we'll create a list of lead magnets. And then for each lead magnet ID, we'll create a bunch of names for that lead magnet. So it's basically 3 steps. This one is going to be audience, challenges, and desires. And let's structure this one out first before we actually begin to work on the rest of it. So remember over here, we had our brand assets for automation. So I'm going to write in here brand context into the prompt. And we're going to map that in first and foremost. So now we are sending in the brand voice guidelines, phrases and words to never use, and then the writing grade level immediately into this workflow. We'll also add in some more things for the brand context. We want to add in the audience avatar. We'll add in the niche as well. And then the offer details that we're focusing on. So we basically every lead magnet leads to an offer, right? So we want to add in the offer details for the AI to reference when creating the ideas for us. So now we'll add in the instruction, the prompt, and I do have a bit of a prompt that we can use and improve on. So we're basically saying you're an experienced educator who's expert in teaching others, understanding all of these. So I want you to generate a comprehensive list of challenges and pain points they might face as they embark. Additionally, include a list of desires they might have. Criteria, consider their likely life stage, time constraints, and so forth. So we're essentially adding all of this in here into the AI, and we're asking it to generate basically a report. It's a challenge and desire report. From there, I'm just going to let that run in the background. We will duplicate this because we'll use a lot of the same structuring. And now we will begin to generate let's generate 7 lead magnet ideas. So here we actually want to add in the output as well. So we'll add in challenges and desires. And we want to add in that output that was generated in the previous one. Looks like we also just need to update the contexts again. So let's just pull these in. All right. So basically we have all of the same brand context in this next prompt. We also added in the challenges and desires from the previous AI generation. So from the previous output. And then we're giving it a prompt based on the PMS framework of the Blue Ocean strategy. We're asking it to craft 7 innovative lead magnet ideas. And then we're saying list each idea with a brief description. And then we're saying constraints, blah, blah, blah. And then the output structure. And this is where this workflow is a little bit different because we need to structure it this way. We're asking it to structure the 7 ideas in an array of items with the variable lead magnet ideas. So in order to get that structure, we need to output content as JSON, and then it should give us an array of items that we can then work through for the rest of this workflow. Now, in order to do that, we'll actually have to split out the items from this field here. So we'll just wait for this to generate. And it's not actually generated. So we need to maybe improve this prompt. So what I would do is I'll just paste this into ChatGPT and I'll say, done this before previously. So I've just pulled up an old one. We're just going to ask it to improve this prompt to get a JSON output of an array of items. So we simply just paste this into ChatGPT and get it from there. It makes it so much easier than trying to come up and play around with it yourself. And it will generally do a pretty good idea of this. So we're just going to go output format. We'll copy this in here like this. And then we'll go copy. And now it'll output our title and description like this. Now that looks way better. So you can see before it was just giving us a single content variable here. Now it's split it into lead magnet ideas, and now it has our 7 lead magnet ideas down here like this. So we want to split these out. So in order to do that, we should just drag this across here like this, and then we'll go execute step. And we can see now it is taking it from a single item. So this was just one item over here to now 7 items that we can work through. So what that means as we keep working through this, keep building through this workflow, is that it's going to generate 7 times all of the future things that we add into this workflow here. So what does that mean? It means we can now simply move on and continue with the next 2 things that we wanted to generate, which were our list of lead magnet names. Actually, that was the only thing, isn't it? So we've got in here, if we open this up again, we've got our idea title and we've got a description of what that would actually be. So that's all we really need at this point, is we're just trying to figure out, get the ideas before we then build upon on top of those ideas. So we've got our title and description. So next we just need to generate, let's grab this first one. We'll go duplicate. And this time we don't need a lot of the extra, maybe we do. So let's go this one. So we've got our instruction here, our prompt saying you're an expert direct response copywriter. Above is the context about a lead magnet idea we have. Your task is to come up with 10 lead magnet title ideas using marketing frameworks and proven headline formulas. Never create titles with a colon. I think that is the worst thing that ChatGPT does. I don't know why it does it. And then do not put any extra context before or after. So we just need to add in the lead magnet context. Now, what we've done here is we've split out all of the items. So we just need to drag these 2 variables in here, and we'll put in here title ID and then description of ID. So here we can just pull in this variable of the title ID and then the description of the idea here. So it's going to reference our brand context, but it'll also then reference our lead magnet context. And then it should output those 10 title ideas for the 7 ideas. So we're actually generating 70 titles from this step here. So we'll just simply execute on that. Then once we have that, we can simply create or update the records inside of Airtable. So we'll pull that in while it's generating. What we actually should have done is put in our table ID into the webhook. So let's quickly check this since it's writing before I go any further. So you can see now this generated 7 items. So we have all of our 10 titles here for this one, and so forth. Now I need to send these back to Airtable. We could map in the creator record table. However, I'd like to keep this a little bit cleaner. So what we're going to do is add it into the formula itself. We'll come into data and we want to go to lead magnet ideas. In the URL, you might not see it, but in the URL, there's also a new ID up there. It's called TBL. It begins with TBL and it's after the app ID. Check out our setup videos if you have the templates of how to do this. What I'm going to do is grab that ID from the URL and add it into this webhook here. So we just need to add in a next one. We'll call this output table ID. We'll do a little comma, add that ID into here, and then we'll make sure our formula is structured. So we've got two table IDs in here now. So we've got one for our brand assets table and we've got one for our lead magnet ideas table. So I'm going to hit save on that. We'll go confirm that change. So now if I regenerate this entire workflow, it'll send in that new table ID as well. So let's just do that. We'll generate this from the start, generate ideas. It's going to run through and create all of those. So now I can add in our Airtable and we'll go create a record, add in our credentials, and then we'll wait for this to run and we'll then be able to begin to map this base and table so we can generate all of these records into that lead generation ideas table. Okay, so that's been generated now. Then we simply just need to first map in our webhook or our IDs from the webhook. So we'll go base ID, then we want our output table ID, and then we should be able to refresh this. For some reason it didn't work. We messed up the formula, so we're going to have to do that again. That's annoying. Come back in, see where we messed up. We didn't add an equal sign. Okay, so that's generated now. So let's map that in again properly here. So let's open up our webhooks. We're going to map in a base ID. Our output table ID looks like it's worked that time. So now we have access into our output table ID table. Idea status, that's going to generate automatically. Brand assets. So we need to map in the brand asset record ID. So we get that from our getter record. So in order to map that in, you need to put it in an array and then drag this across into here. And that will then map that back to the correct ID. From there, we can add in our lead magnet name. So we're just going to grab this name from our split out. So we go to idea title here, and then we can pull in our description. So maybe that would be one that I would want to add in. So we will create that in just a second. Let's map in this other titles now. So down here, what we want to do our lead magnet names. We don't need these ones yet. We don't need our AI models just yet. The audience problem. So we have that generated here, the audience challenges. So we can map that in. Oops, not in that one. So we go audience challenges and desires into this one here. And the problem is one that we will focus on later. So we actually just need to add in a description. So we go lead magnet ideas, come across into where our name is, go insert to the right. We'll go do a long text and we'll go lead magnet. We'll add in there lead magnet description, enable rich text formatting. And if we come back into here, we should be able to refresh this. And then we've got our description section. So I think that's good. Now let's hit execute. And if we come back into our dashboard, we've now just generated all of these ideas into here. So let's view these from the interface. Let's launch this. So if we look at our lead magnet ideas now, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas. So we can open this up. We can see the creative idea. We can see the challenges and pain points. We need to remove this from here. And I mean, we can see now that, I don't know what this matchmaking thing is all about. That's actually a little bit weird, but this is how we can begin to structure everything that we're wanting to create. So creative idea, 3-day AI sprint planner. That sounds a little bit more like it. So we have a bunch of different lead magnet ideas. We have our challenges and desires. What we need is our description. So what I would do now is just change these a little bit. So let's put this above the challenges and desires and let's add in the description. So the user can come into here and read through some of this. And if they want to create it, change the status to create, and then continue working on, and we'll begin to map out how the rest of this works. So let's leave that on to create. Now let's go back into this one here, like speed dating cards. I have no idea what that even means. So let's just fix up this interface while we're here so we can see this structured a little bit nicely. Rather than having all of this in a single list, what we could do is create multiple views. So if we add in tabs and all IDs in one tab, we could have a tab for to do, and then we filter it by our status. Then we have another one to create, and we'll filter this by our status is to create, and then another one for approve. And then of course we can have our all IDs, but then we could group our all IDs by the status as well. So we have our to do, to create, and not approved. So now this is structured in a much nicer way. Your main dashboard is to do. You open this up, you would change this to create or approved. It will then automatically disappear from this view and then move along. It's almost like a Kanban board, but just a little bit nicer. So you can see now how these systems start to build so much faster and easier as we're building out these workflows as well. Now, before we actually approve this, let's have a quick look at anything else in this workflow that could be interesting. We're adding in our lead magnet name, our lead magnet description, a bunch of other names for the lead magnet itself, and then audience challenges and desires to focus on. Do we need anything else? That is the question. Let me think about this for a moment. I don't think I am. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So now we just need to figure out how we're going to build these next two workflows, what type of information we need to move from this dashboard into the next workflows, maybe some descriptions in the interface of how they should do some editing before they trigger the next workflows. So let's continue on with those ones now. Okay, so I've been thinking about this workflow, and I think we need to do it a different way because I've generated a lot of leads, tens of thousands of leads through lead magnets over the years, maybe hundreds of thousands of leads. And you always want to give like the 3 bullet points of what's actually included inside of that lead magnet. So we should switch these around. So we're going to generate the lead magnet first, which we workflow 2, and then generate the marketing asset last. Now, I've also just then imported this workflow that we found in the library, and we need to reconfigure this a little bit. So it is quite in depth. I do like what has been written inside of here. We're not going to use the anthropic models. We're not going to use the perplexity models, but we will hard code those types of models into the system for now. We're going to use OpenRouter through the chat module there. But obviously we need a different output and we need a different input. So that's what we will work on here. So let's just delete that from that end, and then we'll simply output it back into Airtable on the back end. Same deal here is we want to input, it will trigger this via a webhook. So let's just start it with a webhook. We can copy this webhook. We'll go respond to webhook node. We will just move this out of the way. We'll add in the next webhook, respond to webhook, text, and then we'll add this piece of code in here, and that will close that window. So let's just go execute workflow, and we may need to actually just change that. So edit field, we will add in this ID here. We want our base ID from up the top. So let's do it from inside the data section. And I'm just going to copy this because we'll need it again. So we're using the right lead magnet one. So we'll go add our webhook in here, grab our app ID from the URL in the top bar, grab our TBL URL from the top bar. So this is our original table ID. Then we need our output table ID as well. And we can grab the output table ID from the AI output table itself. We'll make sure we're on our grid view there. And we'll add that table ID into this one here. Hit confirm change. Now, if we come back into here, outstanding problem. Yeah, let's just see if we can fix these up immediately. So our chat. So we basically want them all in OpenRouter for now. Let's just delete those for a second. Well, I was using Perplexity as a tool. So it looks like we may need a Perplexity account to actually run this. Perplexity tools. Okay, we'll check that out as we go. But here we want our chat model to be OpenRouter. So if we just come back into our workflow now, and then we will choose an AI model. Not that it matters right now, I don't think, but we'll just go generate the right lead magnet. We didn't save it. Let's just come back into here, publish. Let's go right lead magnet. When we come back in, didn't actually work. Let's try again. Okay, so if we look at that, then it's actually doing something. Now, actually, the faster way is you can just come back and you can grab these from back here. And we could have done that with the webhooks as well, and then just pasted it in. So if we just run that again, it'll then pull it in and then change the status to AI writing. So then we can join it up with this main workflow. And there's quite a few changes that I think we'll make here. Number one is that it's using Triggerfy Knowledge Hub. I mean, you could add that in. It's quite expensive for most people for just generating a lead magnet. So I'm not sure. I mean, you can maybe do this if you're a little bit further along. But to get this, make this easily accessible for everybody, I'm just going to delete this Triggerfy Knowledge Hub. What we do need, though, is a tool. And I think adding in a Perplexity tool is going to be the best option here. So they do have this Perplexity tool, basically calling another workflow. But I think if we go, let's have a look at this. So if we go Perplexity tool, and rather than call another workflow, we can use it to do either deep research or pro research. Like probably deep research is going to be the best. So we'll just say, call this to run your research. We do have a Perplexity account. So in order to do this, you'll need to set up your Perplexity API. So you simply log into your Perplexity API account, and then somewhere in here, there'll be an API key that you can add in. So let's see if we can find where that would be located. So you can go to perplexity.ai/account/API/keys, and then generate a new one. So we'll call this n8n tool. Come back in and create our new credential. We'll just add that API in there as well. And we'll click save. Now, if you are inside of the Big Moves membership, we actually have a Perplexity AI promo code where you can get 3 months free on the Enterprise Pro plan up to 50 seats. So it could save you up to $6,000. Now, for most people, you're probably not going to have 50 seats. This might just be one, but it's still a few $100, $120 in savings. So you can just go into your deals platform and then follow the instructions on how you actually redeem that deal. Okay, so instead of using Triggerfy, we found a nice, easy option to get started. We can use Gemini, and they give you a generous amount of API credits that we can use immediately. So we'll set this up and we'll structure out the Gemini prompt as we're going, but we can use that as a tool throughout all of these. So what that means is we just need to redo some of these prompts. So it does reference using Triggerfy and so forth. However, we can just say, we can put this prompt into AI and just ask it to rewrite this for the AI component, for the Gemini component. So let's just open this up now. And I'm actually going to use the n8n GPT. So we've got our n8n assistant GPT. I'm just going to update the model here. And we'll say, so I'm just going to say below is a prompt for an AI agent inside of n8n. It references a tool called Triggerfy. We're not using Triggerfy. We're using Google Gemini as a tool instead, which has web search capabilities. Adjust the prompt to make it relevant for our workflow. And now I'll just paste it in here. And let's see if it can figure out how to adjust that for us. Scrolling through, it looks pretty good. So let's just copy all of that and we'll make some edits inside of the workflow itself. So open up this entire thing and we'll just fix up a couple of these things here. Okay, we just need to do the same now for any of the other ones that reference that. So let's just open this up. Okay, so we've got the second one. Let's clear this out. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and made a few updates to all of those prompts. I definitely think we'll have to continue updating those prompts as we're going as well. So first and foremost, we need to get this JSON chat input and figure out what we're going to add in here. So the prompt is, so we're going to add in all of our details. So we're saying create a lead magnet based on the below. So we want to add in our name, description, audience pain points, and desires. Cool. So we've got those things in here. Let's just hit execute step, see what happens. And we'll pin this data at the front. Okay, so it's done to searched n8n automation templates, beginner friendly. So it's done those searches for us at the moment. And structured output parser, query 1, 2, and 3. All right, so then it's going to research these queries. So let's just run this and see what happens. Looks like we do have an error on Gemini. So, okay, they're not going to give us as many credits as I thought they might. Okay, so it did output something, but there is an error on the Gemini. So you probably need to set up a billing account with them. I just did that now. So I'm not sure if it's going to run next time. And let me just do a quick check to see if there's anything broken inside of here. Doesn't look like it, except it does look like there's quite a lot of variables in here, which we don't actually need to have all of these variables. Let's try this one now. We come back to the canvas. We might have to hit save and refresh and run this next time, although it looks like it's running to the messenger model now. So it could actually be working. Looks like it is running through potentially. Maybe not. Anyway, we'll just get this running for the first time and then we can come back and make some updates afterwards. So it's now planning the project. And then we're going to do team of researchers again. So that one executed successfully. So if we open up this now, it should, we need to run this split. So it's created the chapters. We're going to split out those chapters. And then the research looks like we'll do more research on the other chapters. And let's just do a quick check of this one. Let's go execute that step. This one's no longer, oh, it is. Anyway. Okay, so it looks like that one's run a few times as well. If we have a quick look. So we've got 6 items there of what it's going to do. And then it's going to merge those items. Got a little bit of code that's going to do something here. So what's that going to do? It's going to combine all of that data. And then let's trigger this editor. That looks right. All right, let's execute the editor. And then hopefully we just need to go and create an Airtable. So let's just go create a record and we'll add in our credentials, base ID, output table ID. And sometimes what will happen is it won't know where to look for the record ID and table ID. We just need to change item to first, and then it just helps it out a little bit. So we're just going to add those in like that. And then now we will use our output table ID, our output ID. So this will be, we can just write in here lead magnet. Output should then be the final version here. Our type is lead magnet, and this will be for the lead magnet view. So we actually need to come back to our get a record, and we can add this into an array. We'll go first, and hopefully this is going to generate an output for us. So let's just go execute step, see what happens. That generates successfully. And if we come back into our AI output field now, we need to go to our lead magnet view, and this bottom one here is the actual output. So, okay, that's pretty interesting. We need to change this. So let's just fix this up while we're here. So it's going to be a formula, and we'll change this to output ID and output type. Now let's just open this and expand it a little bit better. Okay, so there's a decent looking lead magnet there. Now we can refine this quite a lot, and I'm going to do a little bit of refinement in the background for you, and we'll make sure we're adding in the AI components or the Gemini component, make sure that's working, and just refine this tool out to be a little bit more specific for what it's trying to do. Okay, so after diving into the prompting and all of the different things, I think it actually did a pretty good job based on my prompts. Now, the thing that I would change is this section here in the description. So this section here, I think that needs to be more detailed. So this will be part of the training that we would provide for this system, is to make sure that this lead magnet description is actually a lot more detailed and that you provide the things that you want to talk about inside of this workflow. Then the AI will have a much better direction on where it should begin looking, because I kind of left it too broad. So we could go back and refine some of the other prompts as well. but we also just want to make sure we build out that description section a whole lot better. So that's largely the writing process configured and done. So as you may look into the whiteboard that I provide with this, we could take this a step further and have ways to send this into maybe like a Google Slides or some other platform out there that takes all the formatting of that text and begins to generate slides or begins to design that into an actual book. We could also generate images for the workflow itself that align to what's being said. There's so many different add-ons you could add on to this if you really wanted to go deep into a lead magnet system. But ultimately, the way that it is structured now, the lead magnet is there ready to be used. So we would simply download all of that text and send it off to a designer with some design instructions of how they should create that lead magnet for us. And then it's basically done. So it's a pretty cool system in order to generate this basically with one click. So that's workflow number 2. Let's continue now with workflow 3 and create a few marketing assets for this. Okay, here we are on the home stretch. So now we're going to generate some website copy and ad copy. So before we do that, let's add in a new field just underneath here, and we'll call this approved lead magnet. And we'll go create field. We'll make this an editable field, and then we can make it easy so that all of that needs to happen is, let's say we are happy with that, then we just copy that there and drag it into this section here. Now, we can generate the lead magnet assets after that. So what we could actually also do in this formula here is we can add an if statement. So let's just go if, and we'll go add in the approved lead magnet. Oops. And we need one more of these at the end. So we can only allow this section down the bottom to be completed if this section is not empty. So if I remove that, that button now can no longer be clicked. But if I add it in, now the button is available to be clicked again. So let's set this up. Let's just hit publish. I mean, we're going to have to edit that again. That was silly. So let's now come into n8n and create a new workflow. So this will be our lead magnet 3, and it's the marketing component. And let's just drag in everything that we've got here. So paste these in. We'll just change the webhook ID, and then let's come back and let's go into our database. We'll add in our webhook here. We'll create the formula. So we just need to add in this formula here like this. We'll add in our base ID. So we've fixed up that formula now, and we'll go confirm change, and we should just be able to get this running immediately because it's already set up. So we'll just go generate assets, and not yet. What's happened here? So I just did the thing that I told everybody else not to do, which was I removed the question mark after the webhook. So now it should be off and running, and it has been. Great. So we've got the start of this workflow already. So we've got the webhook, it captures the webhook, gets the record from Airtable, it updates that record to AI writing, and now we're into the first AI component. So we'll rename this one and we'll call this the website copy. And then from here, we'll create a record, Airtable, and it'll be create a record, and we can get that from our webhook. Base ID, we're going to create this in our output table ID. Let's hit refresh. No columns found in Airtable. It's weird. Okay, so we got an error. That would be why. So let's just remap these. So we didn't have our plain text. Let's bring in our plain text field. We actually need that. So we can run this again. We'll hit save, execute workflow, and then come in. We'll go generate assets. And then hopefully this time we will now have it. We need to bring that in so we can look up AI model. All right, we have our plain text here. Pull this one in. I actually want to pull it in from the second one. Let's pull in our AI model here. We want our brand context. So here, brand assets for automation. Let's pull it in from, and we don't need our audience avatar. Oh, do we? Yeah, we should bring all of this in here as well. All right. So we've got our brand context, audience avatar, niche, and our full approved lead magnet. So now we want to add in a prompt for writing the website copy. Okay, so we've added in a prompt here, and a simple prompt. We could definitely iterate on that later if we need to, but let's just go execute. And that will then create the output that we require for the website. Now, actually, I didn't tell it what structure. Basically, the example or the output structure. So a typical lead magnet landing page will look like this. It'll have a headline, short 1 to 2 sentence description, 3 bullet points of what they'll get based on the lead magnet, a call to action, and then a scarcity statement. So that would be the structure that I want the output in. So let's just run that again. And then we're going to create that output into the AI output field with the right parameters around it. So let's just wait for that now. All right, so here it is. It's written that for us. So now we can do output ID, which is going to be website copy. The AI output is our content. The output type is for marketing. And this will then go into the marketing view. We want to add in the record ID that we originally created. So we just go to get a record, and then we come in, we add our record ID into this array here. And then if we execute that step and come back into our dashboard, so let's open up the interface. We'll go into our lead magnet, and we can come down to the bottom here, and our website copy has been created in this section here. So let's just edit that in AI output, and we'll edit that field, enable rich text formatting. So hopefully next time it actually does the bolding and stuff here. Hopefully it'll get that right. All right. So it's going to create that record. We've got our website copy. Next, we want to add in our ad copy. So I'll just copy both of these, and then we'll say copy for the next one. So in order to get the prompt, I'm just simply going to ask ChatGPT to change what I did or like use the website prompt as an example for what I did for that, and then use it to create ad copy. Now, I didn't get it totally right the first time, where it didn't really change the output structure. So we need a better output structure than this. It's a little bit better. So let's just grab this prompt here and we'll paste this in. So we've got our instruction now. We've got our constraints here. And now let's get our output structure. And if we come back into one of our recent chat histories of the JSON prompt structure, and we'll grab this and use it in this one as well. So we're going to output this into an array, and we'll go output as JSON. I've just changed the wrong one. That's annoying. No, I didn't. It's just regenerating. What we actually need to add in here as well is our website copy, because generally the website copy we should match the website copy or the ad copy to what's on the website copy as well. So we might just have to rerun this one, and then we will split the output. Okay, so that didn't actually work. Let's come back in, see what we can do to fix this up. So output structure, output format requirements. Okay, we need to improve this. All right, so that works good. So we've got our ad copy items there. So if we drag this across, we can then split these into individual items. So we can now have our 5 items, and then we'll go create a record. And in here, we're going to put ad copy, and our AI output will be the ad copy. We should have an ID, and we can put ad copy / ad title 1. And this would be our marketing one as well. And it goes to the same record. So let's go execute. That will add all of those items into the dashboard. And then we just need to go update this. So we'll go update record. We'll change this to AI complete, and we'll do one more update record, duplicate. We'll attach these arrow components here, and then we'll change this one to AI error and hit save. And that should be it. So if we come back into our interface now and we scroll down, we can see we have our ad copy. Now it looks like the titles didn't get passed through. So we need to figure that out. Let's have a quick look at what happened here. I think if we just ran this again, it would probably run okay. Let's just run it from the top. So we can see the new website copy is just dropped in at the bottom. We've got our pre-headline, headline, short description, what you'll get, call to action, and then a scarcity statement. And then in a moment, we should have our new marketing assets drop into here as well, or our ad copy. And let's see if it gets the ID correct in the next one. So it's still only getting this first one. So we just need to figure that out. Let's see why it's doing that. I would imagine that we need to, okay, so we've got, let's see what's going on. So we've split it out in the wrong way. So we want to split, okay, so we split it out like this. And so this should actually work way better. We've got in here, add copy, we want to drag that into here like this. And then if we hit execute, come back in, it's still not correct. So let's try again. Now, when this doesn't perform the way that you want it, then a lot of the times, here's what I'll do. I'll just go code and I'll just get a piece of code to fix it up. So I'll just copy all the JSON. I'll say below some JSON for 5 variations of ad copy. It includes a title plus the ad copy content. I want to split those into 5 items so we can map it easily into Airtable with the 2 separate variable fields. So let's see if it understands what I mean by this. Okay, let's try this again in the n8n editor. That's where I went wrong. So we need to go into n8n and I'll say, right, need some code for this. Let's paste it in again. All right, here we go. So it understands a little bit better what I need. So let's just try this function code that it's given us here. Execute, see what happens. That's better. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we can just delete this split out. We can then remap in the creator record. So here we'll go to our schema and we just simply want our title and then we want our copy. All right. Then we hit execute. And if we come back into here now and we have a look at these, we can see that it's dropped in the right ones. So in order to clean this up a little bit, I'm just going to delete those mess ups that we had there for a second. And we'll keep the website copy. All right. So that one's working as well. Let's turn this one on. So we go, got it. And then in order to turn it on, we just need to fix up this formula here, remove the test, and we'll hit save. So let's come back into our interface now, and we'll just do a final test of this second workflow. So we've got our lead magnet in here. We've got all the things that we want. We then want to generate the assets for our marketing. We simply choose the model that we want to use. We click generate. We can now see that the AI status is going off and it's writing those assets. So the first one that to drop in should actually be the website copy. And there it is now. So we open up this, we can see our pre-headline, our headline, our short description, our bullet points, our call to action, and our scarcity. And then in just a moment, we should get our 5 variations of ad copy now. And you can use some of your ad copy type of stuff to help plan out some content as well if you're not going to run ads. And there we go. So we've got our different pieces of ad copy now. So if I open up this one, we can see all of the different variations of ad copy here now as well. That was a much longer build than I expected, but we got through this. So if you stuck around for this one, congratulations, well done. And you now have a pretty solid system. So as you can see, this is a 10 times, maybe 100 times better than where we started at the start of the build here based on somebody else's workflow. So this is what I mean by building out these systems. Even if this did take me, what was it, like 2 or 3 hours to build out, spending 2 to 3 hours to build something like this and get it this far for a client will absolutely blow their mind compared to just building some sort of simple automation like what we started with. So don't forget, if you don't want to go through all of this hassle of like building it out for 2 to 3 hours, in fact, you know, if you're just learning and building this out from scratch, trying to understand what I just did just now would take you dozens of hours to figure out. You can simply grab this template. There's a link in the description. You get this template along with a handful of others, and it will literally save you 100+ hours of build time if you were to download those templates, install them yourselves. And we have complete setup videos and how you actually use these apps inside of the members area as well once you purchase. So again, congratulations, well done on sticking around. Now, if you want to dive into another workflow where we go even deeper into another tool like this, where I rebuild another workflow from another creator, then make sure you watch this video next, and I'll see you there.